prepare yourself.
The opinions of the host and guests on this show are exclusively just that, opinions. That means that they shouldn't be the cause of your state of being offended. Why does everybody get so butthurt?
Okay, let's go. Ready, go!
Welcome to And God Created Woman, where the arguments are necessary for the best make-up sex of your life. Unless you're single, and then we suggest you just go fuck yourself.
All right, and God Created Woman podcast. We're back again for a part 2 with Jessie Lee Ward. Thanks for joining us again today, you awesome peep you. If you didn't listen to the first episode, I had Jessie Lee Ward on. It was a rare interview where I actually got some real truth on the personal side of this fantastic woman. If you don't know who Jessie Lee Ward is, just go Google the shit out of her. You're going to find some awesome information. But we got her on the couch, so to speak. It's like the therapy couch, right? And I'm going to be probing like crazy. Hang on. That gets a bell. Double entendre. All right, so last time I had you on, we talked all about masculine energy, your dating expectations from as a strong businesswoman. You're definitely an alpha, but then you get submissive when you really build that trust and communication. It was a great episode. I had a lot of people DM me, go, holy shit, I can't believe it. I'm like, yeah, this woman's pretty dynamic. That being said, you're a very big model of a strong woman, right? You got that, what some weaker men would be like, oh, she's a bitch attitude. Definitely me when I was a much younger guy, I didn't understand strong women. And you've got expectations for a male that you're going to wind up dating and partnering with. I told you, so I'm going to ask you this right off the bat here. When it comes down to you in your professional life, you don't want for anything. You work for it. You get it. You attain it. You don't need a man for that. The men that you wind up dealing with who are going to earn your time, what do you bring to the table? And that's a very general question I'm going to ask you. What do you bring to the table? We got heavy into the fun stuff last time, right? Like sex and whatnot, submission. What do you bring to the table as far as being a partner when you enter a relationship? I want to start there, and I want to take this into the avenue of how can women find the balance like you have?
First of all, I don't think I've ever had so many DMs as when I did the podcast with you. So my DMs were crazy, and a lot of people, really cool feedback, like, you see my marriage, like all kinds of stuff like that. Cause I talked a lot about communication and things of that nature. But okay, so I'll answer the first question, or I'll answer the actual question. What do I bring to the table? I'm the whole fucking table. Okay, so we'll just start there. And I giggle, but it's very honest. I mean, it's more like, what don't I bring? I'm everything and more. Like, I'm your full entire package. I'm the sweetheart. I'm the powerful woman that is awesome to take out and show off. I spoil back in all 5 love languages. I create experiences that nobody else can, whether that's because of my success or also because of my actual personal development and my ability to just give and give and give, and my capacity to love. There's nothing left on the table. Like, I think, people are hating this whole how you do anything is how you do everything in the world right now, but I really like it. And how I show up in my business and how I show up consistently online and how I show up in everything. Imagine that in a personal relationship times, I don't know, 100. So in the places where I have, if you will, deficiencies, I fill. So no, I don't cook. I don't clean unless I'm doing role play or something. Okay. But will I pay for it to happen? Yes. Okay. Will I do your laundry? No. Will I pay for somebody? Yes. Will I plan out the crazy excursions and incredible dates and whatever? No. Will I? Actually, I won't even do that. You need to do that because that's part of my love language. But it's everything and more. And so I don't feel bad for my success, and I don't feel bad for earning what I earn. And I don't feel bad for not needing a man. And I wish more men had the perspective of it should be really, really attractive when a woman does not need you, but a woman wants you.
Are men safe with you? Here's a question. Here's a question I'm going to pose, right? a lot of guys are going to see you as a trophy. I have to attain her because that's a big notch, right? You get Jessie Lee Ward, it's a big notch, especially with that attitude. You wind up saying that on the whole table. All right, I'm a bull. That's the red flag the Matador's holding. That being said, you said something that the last time, and I want to qualify the statement, and I want to hear what you explained about it. Where I talk about it, post-nut clarity for guys, right? When we wind up hitting that special moment and we're done, we're like, shit, did I really want to be with that woman? Some guys, you had mentioned that in the specific moment in bed after you've had your physical activity, you don't want to talk about things that are emotional or feelings that they're not in that place. Did I misunderstand what you were talking about on that? Because you had said we could talk about it later, but is there a boundary where I kind of want to dig? Do you have the capacity for that type of hearing a man's vulnerability? You're clearly vulnerable when you trust somebody, but when a guy is all alpha, he does what you want, right? Makes the plans, winds up leading all of this, and then you see a man in an emotional state. Does that make you uncomfortable? Does that make you rise to the level of, oh, all right, I need to be strong so he could be, air quotes, vulnerable and weak in this moment? Or does that kind of activate your gag reflex of, no, a man's not supposed to be that way?
Oh, that's a good question. So what I was really talking about is I think too many people go to the bedroom before communicating was really what I was trying to say. I think all communication, especially deep conversations, should happen before you even get there was really what I was trying to reference to. Whatever, let's just go here because you just keep giving me these therapy sessions. Like that would be like me saying not to do aftercare, actually, is kind of that. So that would be dangerous in my opinion. Because I am still really emotional. It's just that what I need after something like that, after a scene, is totally different than just, I guess, what like normal people seek out or something like that. But no, I actually really appreciate vulnerability, especially in super alpha men. And there's something that if you are not a safe place, like you just referenced, for a man, you're never going to see that. And I wish more people understood that I do have expectations of a man. Okay. I also expect them to still be a nurturing, loving, caring, compassionate human. And so if you don't allow them to have that space where empathy exists, where deep emotions exist, where love and light and all of that beautiful stuff exists, well, then you can have just a, dominant relationship, but you're not going to have something that is a deep, passionate, romantic relationship on top of it. And a large part of me also craves that. I get way freakier when I have that, right? Because then it's not just this surface level, whatever. And so hearing their vulnerabilities, no, I love that. I think that something that I've gotten really good at over the last few years, this is more of a recent history thing, is just saying, hey, just say what you need to say. Like I can literally see, Dominic, I can see you thinking. Just say it. I do that a lot. And don't filter it. Just say what's on your mind. What is going through your head right now? This is a judgment-free place. And sometimes I'll say this actually, like, this might sound kind of weird, but probably not to you. I don't know, whatever. But like sometimes literally during the act, I'll say something. I'm a talker, by the way, but not that that matters. But like I'm very like vocal. I like sounds, whatever. But something I say sometimes is I'll say, no, talk to me. You can't freak me out. Like in the middle of stuff, because especially in the kind of relationships that I enjoy, it can get weird, and people have been judged and shamed, and they've been told, oh, these things that they're into are just so naughty and shame, and oh, you're going to go to hell because you like whatever. And you can tell, especially if you're more developed in this world, where oh, there's something more here. Like there's something he wants to do that he has done before and it ruined a relationship. And so I like to actually open up those doors. I don't like to close those. I like to be a safe place. I like to be that place for them. And then do the emotions make me uncomfortable? It depends. So this depends on where I am and how I view them as a man. So there's nothing more attractive probably than a man that you are actually into that is not just physical, that opens up. That is super attractive. The tears in the eyes, that this is real. The hold on a minute, I'm really into you. It does, and not. I don't want it all the time though. I don't want you to tell me that you miss me 19 times a day. It's not attractive to me. I don't want you to chase me around like whatever. Like a lost puppy by any means, because I want you to lead me. But I do like the occasional, wow, okay. you are into this. I'm a big fan of that.
Did you discover that early on? Again, I'm always going to reference your age. I'm so impressed with how it's not. I don't mean to disrespect you. You're young, but you're far beyond your years on every single level. You do not hear a lot of women who are in the position where now social media, we create our image, right? We just go and create our image. You don't need to be discovered anymore. You push a button on your phone, you can discover it. Women and men. With the two, we have the two giants. You got Drew Afalalo on the female side and Andrew Tate on the male side, creating these polarizing views of what men and women should be. And we've got toxic masculinity. We've got all this. Did you find this easy in the beginning to discover, wait a second, this was turned out to be a physical act. In the moment of this man has tears in his eyes. He's passionate. He feels this. How do I interact with this? Did you find that early, or was that natural, or how did that get discovered that you were okay with that? Because it freaks a lot of women out. With me, one of the biggest things I get is I get the DMs that are full, and I always do this off the bat, is I'll test women with, we talked about this the last time, I'll shit test women with, hey, I'm into X, Y, and Z. Oh, I would never do that. That's why I'm telling you now so I don't waste my time. But sometimes I'll go, hey, listen, I could throw a Nicholas Sparks film on, and I could fucking cry, because I'm Italian and I'm an emotional and I love hopeless romanticism. Can you, what? I've had women who, I didn't know you were this sensitive. So that's where we're navigating now, is women, you're either a strong male or you're a beta male. How did you come to terms with feeling comfortable with the mix?
That's a really good question.
I'm good at what I do.
If I could guess, it might be because I lived in my masculine energy for so long. Like, I'm kind of talking it out now, but I was much more comfortable in my masculine, and I did not let my feminine out. And I realized somewhere along the lines that my feminine came out when there was a strong, truly alpha masculine presence. So when people are like, oh, she's softer, anytime I'm in a really soft phase of my life, there's an alpha man, and there's a reason I'm in flow. Just like when people are like, she's so soft right now, I'm like, yeah, okay, because somebody is holding space for me that is super, super dominant and super, super masculine. And so if I could, now I'm thinking it through, it's such a good question. I'm sure that's why. And so I see that in men. Men let their guards down when a strong feminine is there that can hold space. Otherwise they won't, otherwise they'll kind of close their eyes, during the Nicholas Sparks film or whatever, or they'll act like a tough guy, or they'll dismiss themselves to the bathroom or whatever. But I just want to go back really fast to the toxic masculinity part, because you didn't say it, but I want to say it as a woman. Toxic femininity is also a very real thing. Okay. And I know that's coming from a very powerful feminine woman. I want to say that because as much as I know people get all razzed and jazzed and excited about the Drew girl, I think it's great that she became famous off of this. And is there some truth to some of the stuff she says? Sure. But people look up to her and they idolize this. And the only thing that she has, in my opinion, from what I've seen that is balanced, is she happens to be in a relationship with what appears to be a heterosexual male. We don't know anything about her. We don't know anything about the dynamics of their relationship. We don't know anything about if he's actually happy and comfortable in the relationship. Maybe he is, maybe he's not. We don't actually know her. You see a persona. But what she puts out is also damaging. It's also dangerous because it teaches women, I hope people are listening to this, you're teaching women to hate men. And you're also not allowing a space, back to this point of allowing for vulnerabilities, you're not allowing men to mess up. And it's not to say there aren't men out there who are shit. There are definitely men out there who are super toxic, who really truly think that women can't drive, or women are inferior in every way, or women can't run businesses, or women can't do anything on their own, or there's psychopaths that think that. But I think by far and wide, you start doing this rally cry to hate men, or this rally cry to demonize them in their masculinity, or this rally cry to say whatever. And so people wonder how I can sort of ebb and flow between the super, super right-wing conservative, guns literally blazing, flag flying, whatever. And then I'm also, and I can hang out also with the people that are, this alphabet crew and this whatever. And I just want to talk to people. And if you have to fit into some box where you have to either hate men, or you have to hate women, or you have to hate something you don't understand, well, then you don't allow space to have anybody be kind. And that's what I hate about this toxic world is it's like, you don't have to necessarily understand everything about me or agree with everything about me or understand my lifestyle or understand the way I run business or understand my story or understand whatever. But I don't need to agree with everything about you, Dominic, to know that even when you have your points that I'm like, wow, he's out there with that one. I don't have to send you hate mail. I don't have to splice a video with you and say, no, Dominic is always 100% wrong when he says da 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 da. I don't have to make you feel less than to make me feel more than. And that's what's happening in these conversations is people take bits and pieces and they tear people apart to look and sound a certain way. And that is a problem. And so it spills into everything else. It spills into having the ability to hold space for those men or hold space for those women, whatever. And it's just destroying people's relationships and their ability to be compassionate towards everyone. And so that has to do with what we just talked about in its own little twisted way. But all I really want to say is men want love too. And if you're not willing to not be that toxic feminist, then you're never going to find a man who lets his guard down. And the worst part that people need to hear is if he's not letting his guard down with you, there is somebody who he will let his guard down with, and it's not going to be you, and he's not going to tell you, and he's going to cheat on your ass, and that's going to be the end of that. So
most women I've dated in my past have all been liberal. It wasn't until recently where you're not able to, just because of the standards that we've set up in our lives. I do think that if it was ever exposed at either Andrew Tate, there's a lot I agree with and there's a lot I don't agree with. And then there's a lot of Drew Afalalo that annoys the shit out of me, but I know how stupid some men are. But if either one of those was ever caught on like a hidden video telling their partner how much they love them and their brand would be destroyed because of what they built on. That's a balance I want to hear about a little bit too. In now where we're at, you're the people's mentor, right? Not just business, but I think you're becoming more of a lot of other areas. So when people are creating their brand, it's you always talk about you are your brand. And you did a great video the other day where you were talking about, I can't remember what the hell you were talking about. You come after my people and I'm going after you. And I'm like, that's loyalty. But then you took it. I commented before the video was over. The balance was insane. Come after my people. I'm going to go after you. I'm going to destroy you. Blah, blah. I'm like, this is the energy. And then you're like, but then I'm submissive. I'm like, holy shit. In one video, you showed both sides of the coin. How important for authenticity's sake when branding for anything, for business, for attracting a partner, how dangerous is authenticity and how necessary is it?
Okay, so the danger of authenticity is that you are going to offend people. So, and that's really the only danger there is to it. In my opinion. So people come at me and they get angry at me and they scream at me online. They say all this stuff. And why do we need to know about her sex life? And why do we need to, she's trying to be like somebody because now she's talking about kink here and there and whatever. It's like somebody tried to say that I'm copying somebody on our team who does OnlyFans. And the person wrote back and she said, I do OnlyFans. And part of it is because Jessie Lee created a safe space for me to do it because it's part of me. And I don't want to say I'm much older than her, but I'm much older than her. And I laughed and I messaged her. I was like, girl, I think I went to subspace before you were born. I just never talked about it on the internet. And so that's the only danger, I guess, to authenticity. And then maybe the danger would be you're going to find your people a lot faster, right? So if you're ready to explode in your business and in your personal brand and whatever, hope you're ready for that. I don't know if that's a negative, right? But there's so many more positives to that. And I'll talk about this whole branding of who you are because I am stepping more into, and I appreciate that. I like said thank you, but you were still talking. I do want to be more than just the business mentor for people, especially for it's almost split 50-50 now of men who follow me. Like my male count is getting even higher, which is really cool. But it was like, I thought it was like 60-40 just 2 months ago. I'm like, what the hell? Now it's like all these men. So hi, boys. I realize that there's, especially women need to know that you don't have to really dim who you are. But at the same time, I actually want to backtrack on what I just said because men need to know that too. Like men need to know, I don't care what you share about you. You should be able to share who you are to find the people that you relate to in your world, in your sphere. You should have followers and you should follow people that make you feel safe online and not judged online. And like, oh my gosh, I've always wanted to connect with, oh gosh, we have so much in common. I didn't know. So I'll give like a little tip because I think sometimes people follow me to understand this. And I did hear this actually on a podcast. And, I loved it because I'm tiptoeing around sharing little things more and more and more. You threw me off the rabbit hole, like deep end, on our first podcast.
Do what I can.
Like, whoa, okay, we're going to share all this online. But here's the kind of cool thing about it. You hypersped that part up. But what I've always done is started telling a little more. And even not in, like, I'll stop for the sex part for a second. I'll talk about this. Even in my business world, when people say things online like, oh, her story changed. You see, my story never changed, ever. I just added more details the more comfortable I became sharing it. So I started sharing and adding details about, whether it's abuse in my household growing up or sending my dad to jail. I didn't always used to tell that part of the story. I didn't used to tell that it's a basement. I didn't used to tell whatever, add little things. So many little teeny, like little T and then some big T traumas I didn't share. And the cool thing about sharing and being authentic online or just in general is when you do it once, I'm just going to tell you, maybe you understand what I'm talking about with this, I'm sure, because you share so much openly too, Dominic, is my heart races before I hit post. I get a little sweaty, like, oh my God, this is the first time I've ever told anyone, whatever. And sometimes if I'm on a live video and I do it, I'll literally stop for a second and be like, hold on, I never told this before. Okay, I'm going to tell you. Okay. And then I'll tell part of it. And the wild thing, and to go back to your interview with me a couple of weeks ago, is once I shared it once and I got such wildly positive feedback, even if I hadn't received wildly positive feedback, it became part of me that was always part of me, but more of you knew, right? More people knew that side of me. And so now it allows me to share a little more. So like the next thing people are going to, I shared about magic mushrooms online for the first time, like a week and a half ago. I love microdosing. Like there's really not a day I don't take mushrooms, but I'm not high. I'm not at all, it's like people go and they like smoke pot really fast or they have a drink of a tequila or something. I don't do any of that. I just like no anxiety, no depression, and the rest of my brain to be open. So I'm super creative and I'm flowing. That's all it is. 100% functional. I never told anyone. Right? Never. I mean, I've told people in person, but I had never told anyone online. And I said it once, like I was like a little like, I wonder how they'll react. And it was hundreds of comments on video, like, oh my gosh, oh my God, like I love it. Can I ask you questions? Hold on a minute, you're not high. It's not like psychedelic. I'm like, well, if you macro dose, it's psychedelic, but that's not the goal over here, and just like being a little more open and a little more honest and a little more authentic and a little more. I just want to challenge the thought processes people have. And it's the same in the kink conversation. It's the same in the style in the conversation about any of this stuff. And I think that there's no danger in you being who you actually are. The danger is actually in you pretending to be something that you're not and living a life that is inauthentic to who you truly are at your core.
You're something that I always took pride in. When I ran for office, it was the easiest thing in the world. I ran for sheriff out here in the Chicago area, and people would come up and say, "Oh my God!" They'd go online and say, "He's the one who said he was a womanizer, this and that." And I was so panicked in the beginning until people would come to my just rescue and the comment section, going, "He's been talking about that for years." So I've always aired my dirty laundry because, in my view, was you can't attack me for anything if I've said, "Yeah, I've done that before." That's always been my view. With you, I think I want to find out a personal side of whether or not you've experienced this yet, or if this is risk. I will talk about times of struggle. Like the worst thing I don't like, and this is what I appreciate about you, is so many influencers out there will say, "Hey, I started with $7 in my pocket, now I'm a millionaire," and they never talk about the struggle. You're one of them who does, right? So the other day I had a dream that messed me up, and I said I had to change my state. So I'll tell people, yeah, there's times I could wake up and I'll be staring at the ceiling going, that sucked, get out of this state, because I want people to know, oh, he's human too. The scale level, you're on another level to where you are beyond blue check mark, keynote speaker, so sought after, but you're accessible. No one, and I've looked, there's no other person out there that has your status, that has the level of accessibility that you do. So I can imagine being an extrovert the way that you are, you have to have that time, that space for people. You're going to narrow it down, your crew, your group, your people, your person, to where you're not every one of us, there's going to be maybe one person who sees the side of you that none of us else will. The higher you climb and the more that you expose yourself to be that accessible, you have to have that balance. Have you experienced, I'll say, being burnt or pain or the surprising, because I don't think, I said this to you months ago. I said, I think you're far more in depth and vulnerable. I don't think you have walls up to the right people. Have you experienced this bit me in the ass, and has it sent you to a certain place that even the great Jessie Lee Ward was hard to recover from? Have you experienced that yet?
Okay. So we're getting deep on a
Tuesday
or whatever day it is. I know, I love it. Okay. The times of struggle, they make you. So anyone going through struggle and you're listening to this, I know it sucks because you're in the middle of it right now, but the light is coming. And you will look back on everything that you are looking at and going through right now, and you will say, oh my God, I learned so much. And so when you see people who are really far in their journey, I just want to remind you, they're far along in their journey because when they got knocked down, they got back up again. That's really the only difference between me and my level of success and other people and their lack of success, is they got knocked down and they stayed there for a long time and they just writhed around on the ground like, sorry, alarms. I got back up again and I went, let's go. Let's go. And if you haven't been knocked down yet, let me be the person who lets you know it's coming. Okay, so get ready to get back up again.
Wait a second. Did you immediately get back up, or did you, of all people whose high? Okay, so you've had your moments. Tell you a story.
I'm gonna be real with you, okay? Like, I'm just building myself up for this emotional story that's coming. No, and look, just be real though through all of it. You know, I'm in the best shape of my life right now. I took a photo today. I'm like, bitch has like a 6-pack coming in. What the hell? But anyway, so that's exciting because all I did was figure out my nutrition and figure out what I need and figure out my.
You got it dialed in pretty damn good.
I am dialed. Like, wow. Yeah. So I'm eating more than ever, I think. My calorie intake is super freaking high. I'm like, I got to eat again. Damn. But anyway, that's not the point of the story. But that was actually brought on by, I was very honest online when I was waking up exhausted maybe 4 months ago, and I was talking about it online, and I'd say, guys, like, I'm like, something is wrong. I need to find a doctor to tell me what is going on. I feel debilitated. I feel like more exhausted than when I had Lyme, and I'm dragging, or I still have Lyme, or I meant to say COVID. I'm pulling myself up every day. This is literally grit right now because I do not feel good. And so I took people through that and took them through this journey. And I mean, my body was not where I wanted my body to be, et cetera. And so the interesting thing is, and I don't say this to make people think I'm fat phobic for some reason. Like, this is like a new thing. I don't know why anybody says that, because I don't care what you look like. Am I fat phobic toward myself? Maybe. I don't know. But that is because I hold myself to a standard. I don't care what you look like. The only time I've ever cared what somebody looked like and the size they were was when I was on an airplane ride, and this person literally should have bought 2 seats, sat on me and smashed me against a wall. And I emailed American Airlines during the flight and I said, refund my flight right now. So, and that happened. But otherwise, I don't care what you look like. You are not taking up my air. I don't care. You do you. I know you're not happy. You can tell me all you want. But anyway, when you're unhappy, there's a physical manifestation, which is going to take me to the story. Okay, there's a physical manifestation in your body. You look unhealthy, and you can call yourself healthy and happy and wealthy and all this shit. You are lying to yourself. You put down the pen. I'm going to like throw it across the room. You're lying to yourself. You look sick. You look ill. It's literally I swear it's like the demons in them that are coming out. Okay, like literally. We see it all over you. You look sick. And so thank you for saying that I am accessible and I hold space for people. And I will say it's really difficult. It's really difficult because being someone who my number one personal core value is kindness. And so for me to continue to be super kind and spend as much time as I do in my DMs, you're talking to me, okay, and trying to get to know you all as people when I know you can't even get access, if it's network marketing, to your own freaking personal upline, and you can't get access to your boss in your company, and you can't get access to people that you look up to, and you message me and I message back. You tag me in a story and I respond. You engage on my social media and I'm commenting and I'm getting to know people. And then when I meet people in person, I know them literally because of their Instagram profile. Like, I'm as real as it gets. gets. And I think that sometimes scares people because I think people aren't used to people being so kind to them. And I think that throws some people off is no, my kindness is real. My heart is real. My love is real. It's not fake. And inside of that, there becomes disappointments, which is what I want to talk about. The betrayals are so real. It would probably stun you because it stuns me. It shocks me when I've been in people's homes around their children, around their families. I've been to their weddings. I've been to their baby showers. I've been to their birthday parties. I've flown across the country for them. I've brought them to events and said, I know you're not here yet, but I'm going to go ahead and bring you with me, even though you haven't paid for it, but I believe in you. 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 I'm pouring and 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 pouring. So kind, so loving, so extra, so all this stuff. And then they call it love bombing and they say, I loved her so much. And then she ended up like, my problem with this is I wanted you at the top so bad. And there is room at the top for everyone in every business, in literally in everything, but you have to earn it. And for some reason, what people do instead of putting in the work and putting in the time and putting in the reps and putting in whatever, they get so jealous. It's not my fault Elon Musk is richer, or it's not Elon's fault that I'm not as rich as Elon Musk. It's not Jeff Bezos's fault that I'm not as rich as he is, or as happy and healthy as whoever the hell you look up to, or whatever. It would be my fault. And so what I do is I look at people that are more successful at me in any way, whether that's spiritually more successful, emotionally more successful, physically more successful, financially more successful, mentally more successful as me. And I say, okay, they're better than me at something. How can I learn? What most people do is they look at people that are more successful than them in areas and they hate them. Why do you hate them? Learn from them. Grow from their example. Instead, they get in these pods of hate and they just hate people. Why do you hate someone who's more physically in shape than you? It's your demons. Why do you hate someone who's wealthier than you and more successful and at the top of a company? Because you're not there. But don't you understand? They put in that time. They put in that effort. They put in those hours. Nobody has a body that they want by wishing and praying. Nobody has the bank account they want by wishing and hoping and praying. It was hours of hard work, and so many people give up. And so have I been betrayed? Hell yeah. And last year it got so loud. For a while it was more than a year ago now. I guess it's like 18 months ago. It got so freaking loud with the hate. It's not very loud anymore, but it was very loud for a while. It was every single network marketing hater. And I'm probably still their number one target. I've just gotten really good at hiring people to block all of them. And it was like, it felt like 20 videos a day were coming out about me, and everything from character assassination, which is just not true. And then everything, you're hating the business model. You're hating that I'm successful. You're hating the way I show up online. You're hating that I have to keep ordering product. It's not front loading. It's that I'm the number one seller. Okay, I have to keep selling product. I got to restock it. And it was, for a while, I would respond to them and be cheeky and funny. And it was starting to have an emotional toll on me. Right. And I've still never watched a single one of their videos, but I knew they existed. So I would respond to the comments. And by doing that, I was like, it's like one after another, you're starting to eat it. You start to like whatever. And like I just said, you can see the physical manifestation in my physical state. I was super inflamed. Quite frankly, I had plenty of fat I needed to lose a year ago. If you look at photos, like I was not my happiest, my healthiest, my anything. And it was as soon as I went, okay, whoa, you're living online. You've got to change. You can't be a role model if you're responding to haters all the time. This is crazy. And if you look at the percentage for the 0.0001% of people that hate me online, trying to make a living off of that, which means you are absolutely a fan. If you have to review videos of me and watch me for 8 hours a day, oh my God, I don't watch 8 hours of videos of me a day. You're a big fan, then there's 99.999% of people who are so loving and so kind. And because I've given so much on the front end, they give it back reciprocally. And so, yeah, the betrayals are real. And it's once you stop allowing them to have any access to you. I don't respond to them. I block them immediately, because what good are they putting in my life? None. And even just that little drop of hate, if you consume it, it starts to unravel, even if you don't even think it is. And so I don't respond to it. I don't have a place for that. And I will warn people, that is probably the only bad thing about accessibility, is people pretend to know you. And there is one person who knows me really well. It's Courtney. Courtney's my best friend. She sees and hears more than anybody. She gets all the crazy stuff. I don't censor myself in messages to her. I'm gonna tell you a funny story. Let's make everyone laugh, because that was really deep. She knew I was having bad sex with this guy that I went back to after 5 years, the Italian guy, right, that we talked about before. Mm-hmm. And she knew, because she goes, Jessie Lee? I'm like, what? She's like, there are no dick tales. I said, what you mean? She's like, you only tell me the sex stories, and there have been none, which means it is not good. I'm like, oh shit. But you don't think about it. But anyway, back to whatever. You got to be careful, but I also don't want anyone to put these huge walls up where you feel like, oh, well, then I'm just not going to let anybody in. That's also super dangerous. So you're going to get burnt. People are going to betray you. And so it just goes back to remember what your character is. Your character is always going to matter a lot more than your reputation. And someday the two hopefully collide.
You just gave everybody a big access to Jessie Lee Ward. And then you go down to your crew. And Courtney is your person, and Courtney's going to have somewhat of an aligning energy because you're both women and she hears these stories. I want to take it to that step further. When we're offline, we have a certain type of language. I don't know you as well as most other people do, but you comfortably talk to me. I comfortably talk to you. Courtney's going to be your girl. You got other friends. When it comes down to a partner, a romantic partner, is there another depth of level to you where you take that, like you just took all that and you threw it out there? Do you ever funnel it into one person? This is my safe person. I can really talk this about that. And has that ever burned you to really like, wait a minute, I talk to you deeper than I talk to my people? Courtney, talk to you more than anybody. And then have you ever experienced that? Because you kept that whole rant was fantastic, but it was safe. It was safe because there was business aspects to it. I'm talking about the shit that none of us will see. It's 3 a.m, you're throwing up diarrhea, and the guy that you're in love with is like holding your hair back, and he sees you when other people won't, and you vent about your day, and then you find out that vulnerability that you placed at the most rawest, profound, intimate level wasn't what you thought it was.
So no, never. But maybe that's why. Like if I look, like my romantic journey is truly this journey of communication. And I can't stress that enough. And maybe this is not why my marriage failed, but my marriage failed. And when I look back on it, it's like, we didn't even ever talk. There was none of that raw vulnerability, whatever. No, I never looked at no.
That's what I'm wondering, going back to, have you ever had that? Have you ever? So, and again, so I'm going to get a little personal. I can picture friends and family probably know you so well enough. You're very public about it. I don't know why these people sit there and they say that you haven't talked or your story changes. The first video I saw of you was on your YouTube video. You have a trailer on there, and it was this really well-made, professionally done trailer. And that was, you mentioned in there, people say online that she's too sexual. And I had never heard a professional network marketer acknowledge sexual when the whole fucking industry is like a Peyton place. When you go to these conventions and shit, everybody's there to cry, do dances, and then people cheat on their spouses. So when you did that, I was like, okay, this is a real person. Now I know that I didn't take it as defensive. Most people who talk like you are like, I've got all these men all over the place. They're compensating for anything. I don't think you are. I literally think that this is a time in your life where it just aligns with your needs, that you could do what you want when you want. You keep certain people around who are close to you in a certain aspect. Do Do you get the annoying thing? Oh, you'll settle down when you meet the right one and all that. And does it make your skin crawl like it makes a lot of us crawl? Because people like me, we have been through that. Drop your vulnerability to the lowest level, and the destruction is amazing. Where we will be 4 hours staring at the ceiling. How the fuck do I get out of bed? You haven't had that yet. Do you think that you're prepared, or are you still guarded? God forbid that ever does happen. Or would you allow yourself to get to that space for a new experience, for new growth?
Wow. Yeah. Good question. Okay. So of course I get that all the time. I get the, yeah, you're going to settle down. I get the, no, you'll find the right one and you'll want kids. And here's the thing, I'm open to it, but I also don't think that has to necessarily be my truth. And I wish more people would just follow the path that feels right to them. So, yeah, I'll tell you this.
The kids is an existential problem. The people who fall into that, and I believe you, most people who do the whole, you got to find somebody to get kids, that's an existential crisis for, I don't know who I am yet, so I got to pour into that. That's what I'm so curious about you. You're defined. Yeah. You know who you are. There's no question, which is why I'm very surprised at, it's not that, you're young enough, you go out there, you have fun, you travel, you don't have really time and space for what people would consider a conventional relationship. If you do it, A, it's going to be by choice. B, it's going to be all out. But are you ready for the potential risk and or reward of that, taking yourself to a level that you haven't gone before yet?
I want to say yes, because first of all, I think you're supposed to say yes, for being honest. But the second thing is, like I love love. I don't want to mistake this. I don't know that I will ever settle down. I know, maybe this is what people need to write down from this. I know that I will continue to learn how to communicate more. So it's more like I can do the wild love thing really easily, actually. Going back to our initial questions about being a safe space for men, et cetera, et cetera, et cetera. It's more like the day maybe I'm in a, let's call it monogamous relationship. And if I go, hey, I really want to experience, I'm going to say something like wild that I don't necessarily have any desire to do, but I'm just going to say something like crazy. If I wake up one day and I'm like dying to have a gangbang, like all I want to do is go have a gangbang. Like I cannot imagine anything better today than having a train ran on me. Like, I don't know, it just hit me across the face. I just have to have it. I would want to be any relationship that I end up being in from this, not like just this point forward, but this point forward. I want to be so comfortable in that relationship that I can say something like that to him. And he's like, I need some time to process that. I love you. I'm just saying, maybe he's like, hell yeah.
Hey, but get the phone out, call the guys. What are you talking about?
I'm just saying I would like for it to be, and like maybe it's not gangbang, but it could be something crazy, totally out of left field, never communicated before, where I want to be in a relationship where I am so connected to you that I am comfortable enough to communicate. And what I find is that most relationships are not strong enough to communicate the desires of somebody's heart. And so I don't ever want to be in a relationship where I can't do that ever again. And when I look back at why I've been in relationships before where they didn't get deep, like you said. It's my fault for not knowing how to communicate my needs. It's my fault for not communicating, period, for knowing exactly what I wanted, because there's some weird stuff I've wanted and just not saying anything, And so now I'm at the point where when I want something, it could be right in the moment. I will say, okay, here's what we need to do. If you're going to do that, then you need to do this at the same time. Like, I'll just say an example. Like in the middle of whatever, I could literally say, if you're going to fuck me that hard, you have to like beat me at the same time. Because otherwise there's too much stimulation in one area and be like, I'm sorry, you just can't continue doing what you're doing unless you're going to do all this together. Oh, okay. Like most of you just had panic attacks and had to like pull your, I don't know, like, what did she just say? And then some people get it, whatever. But that's the kind of relationship that I want to be in. I don't want to be in a relationship where I can't be exploratory. I don't want to be in a relationship where I can't be super open about everything. And it's human nature. And too many people are so scared. They think that even what I just said is weird. It's not even weird. It's just that it's strange to you because you don't yet communicate. You don't yet express your needs. Maybe that's not your needs. That's cool. Like you don't need to like what I like and whatever else. But like, can you talk? A bunch of you are in really terrible marriages, really terrible partnerships because you don't open your mouth. And I don't ever want to be in a relationship like that again. I think that's my only chance to, not chance, but my only option is to be with somebody where I'm like, hey, babe, I'm about to say something really weird to you.
You are the ultimate shit tester. You are the ultimate shit tester. What you just explained was you gave yourself the biggest out in the world. You got John Doe. You're attracted to him. You're getting emotional depth, this and that. When you say anything, that's the ultimate. The second I see you raise your eyebrow at me weird, the second I have you go, whoa, and you don't respond the way possible, that's my out to end this without any damage because I'm being judged on whatever microscopic level. That's my safety net. You haven't, you're a, wow, are you a fucking Petri dish experiment? You're going to get, hopefully, I hope you do get to this point where, and that's where the betrayal will come in a depth that I was really curious about, because in my mind, I've got, as the man, I love that kind of shit, right? I've talked about it where when I tell a girl up front, hey, listen, I'm really interested in you. My thing is, I'm in the hot wife lifestyle. I'm going to send you out. I'm going to give you orders. You're going to come home to me and tell me about what you did to so-and-so, X, Y, and Z. And if I get that space, I've learned where the danger was before was it's always post-climax sex, laying in bed. It's perfect, picturesque. You're both exhausted. The vulnerability comes out, and then you say whatever you want to say. I want to see you gangbanged. I want to see this. I want to see, and it destroys the moment. You're already in a state of serotonin's pumping. Your physicality is gone. It's like you're destroyed when they judge you. So I've learned to bring that up first to where I can cut that off. Oh, you're not in it? We wouldn't mix because now I'm not being safe, vulnerable with you. You are there up front. You're me now. You haven't been me 10, 15 years ago, and hopefully you'll experience it with that somebody is worthy of the, oh shit, I just said anything. I just said everything. This person's accepting. When you then enter in those waters, you won't know how to fucking navigate because it'll be a very brand new high for you that will take you to the next level. If it's a risk, it's a risk. It's a reward, it's a reward. It's going to be fucking phenomenal. But what you are is you're the ultimate shit tester. It's unbelievable. I want to solve this. This is way longer than I thought it would. I want to solve problems now. The last few minutes on this. There's so much ground that's covered. We have people trying to play too much one side or the other. I want to go and take now. Last time we looked at men, where we said, all right, you got to be this and got to be that, got to be that. Talk about the balance of women. Again, men are taught not to be emotional, not to be, crying, not to talk about their feelings, this and that. Talk about what you would suggest to women to be a very strong woman who offers a safe space for men, and then be ready about, well, you may be turned off when the guy starts to cry a little bit, but don't. How would you how would you coach and mentor a woman to be as strong as she possibly can be and be a safe place for a very strong man to show cracks in his armor?
So I really think a lot of this is you understanding your own duality of energy, right? So understanding your place of where you should be really dominant and forceful, and then your places where you should be soft and submissive. And some people will agree with what I just said, and some people will freak out on me, whatever. This is my podcast with Dominic. Sit down, ho. Just kidding. Okay. I'm like, you're going to keep going deep. I got to make everybody laugh a little bit. But no, it's like I really believe that more women just need to understand you're super powerful too. Okay, so that goes back to this danger of like toxic femininity and toxic masculinity. It's like, no, you have both. So I want you to be strong where you know you're strong. Speak up when you know you need to speak up. Be a strength for people, or for your man when you need to be a strength, and then chill out a little bit too. If you're constantly barraging him with whatever, you are never going to be safe for him. If it's constantly needy and whiny and complaining and you don't do enough and you need whatever, like, then it's never going to be a safe place for him. If he walks in the door or you walk in the door and it's consistently, drama this, you don't do enough of that, whatever, you're not a safe place. And it goes back to, again, you're probably literally communicating nothing to begin with. But let's change all of that. Let's start with communication. Let's start with stopping every time you're pissed off and chilling for a minute and breathing. Something I always tell people is, I'm like, before you complain about this to anybody, and this is a business thing and a relationship thing, does it matter 5 years from now? And if the answer is no, don't even give it 5 minutes. I really believe in that. It's like people get in fights constantly around stuff that affects nothing. And then they brush over things that do matter. Stop that. Just stop. And so stop all the fighting, start communicating would be my first thing I would tell her. And then just be great at what you're great at. Stop trying to be great at everything. This whole, like, I identify as a feminist in the sense of I'm not burning any damn bras, okay? Like those motherfuckers are expensive. No, I'm not burning bras or anything like that, but I do believe that women have their things that they are better at, and men have things they're better at, and then we are equal only because we have strengths and then we have weaknesses. There's things that, like, that's my belief, right? And so, but this idea that we're all good at the same stuff, can we just put it down? Can we stop banging that drum of we are equal in every way? You're delusional. Okay? We're not. But that's what makes us awesome. I'm not equal to men in plenty of ways. I'm better than men in a lot of things too. And I'm not good at cooking sandwiches, Andrew Tate. So I will hire somebody, actually, though, to cook you a sandwich, you little bitch. All right, anyway, kidding. I'm kidding. I just want to say really fast about him, because we talked a little bit of crap about Drew. What I have to say about him, I do not understand, sir. If you are so rich, pick a struggle. Like, you can't be that big of an asshole and that unattractive. Like, that's just ignorant. All right. Pick a struggle. Like, go buy some stem cells if you're that rich and buy your hair back. All right. Anyway. Okay. So I just had to be funny. Okay. I gotta be a little bit funny, but, be really good at what you're really good at. So if that is the emotional support, be really awesome at that. If that is the mothering because you have kids, be amazing at that. If it's caring for the home because you love that, then do that. If cooking is your thing, do that. If service in some way is your thing, do that. If cleaning is your thing, do that. If making money is your thing, do that. Just contribute at your highest level wherever you want to contribute at your highest level, and stop trying to do everything and be everything. It's not good, because then it goes back to this same personality type over and over and over again. And then being a safe place for a man, listen a little more. Both sides of this, though. The more you listen and the more you let him know that he's safe, the more he opens up. Learn his love languages. Send him the actual link. Anytime I start seeing somebody, I literally send them the link, 5lovelanguages.com, just because I want to know how they need to be spoken to. I want to know if they need me to be a little more on the service side. I want to know if they love words of affirmation. I want to know if they're obsessed with gifts. I want to know if they're just like going to constantly touch me, right? Because I'm like not actually that touchy, so I like my space. I like to know these things so I can communicate. And when you do that, you can also then communicate things like, hey, just so you know, I know you love physical touch, and I know you want to touch me all the time. And every time we're on the couch, you want my legs on you. And every time we're walking, you want to hold me. And every time we do whatever, it's too much for me. But we can set times around that. Because I want you to feel the love I know you need. I also have boundaries around that too. So it's not, again, fights. And then he can open up and say, hey, I had a really rough day, and my love language is physical touch. I would really just like to be held, right? But otherwise you don't know, and you've never created a safe space. So just more of that, slowing down. And then when it's all done and over, reminding him, hey, you can still be, you're a man, real, like I tell him, like, real men do cry. That's super attractive. I love that you care. I love that your kid matters to you and you're upset because you think you're a bad dad. I love that you're really upset that your father is in the hospital. I think that's amazing that you have the capacity to love somebody that much, and letting them know that emotions are important. And this is a whole other topic, but I really think that a lot of suicide rates in the country are much higher for men. I don't know if people know that. And I do think a lot of this is because society as a whole has not created a safe place for men and their mental health. And so if you can be that for more men, and be that for more women as well, but be that for more men, I think we can have less of that. I think we can have less domestic violence. Domestic violence, I believe, comes from a place where men have so many trapped emotions that they've never been able to release, that they get physical and they explode. And so I think if you allow people to communicate, a lot of this changes.
Yeah, we can get in a whole conversation about that and how good women are at pressing that button on there. That's fantastic. I could ask you 20 more questions, but I'm not going to. That was amazing. You offer so much. You need to branch out more. You need to be a far more of a mentor than just a business. You got a ton to offer. Jessie Lee Ward, thanks again for joining. This was friggin' fantastic. And God Create a Woman podcast. I hope you guys love this one because I sure as hell did. See you guys in the next episode.
Yeah.